All right. I know this comic has been out for over a week now. I know that the Three Jokers had ended over a week ago, and all the big comic book channels, gave their thoughts immediately, had their rants, had the praise going. They did everything that they did right away. Because I get it. They wanted to get it out there so everyone could hear their opinions right away while the iron is still hot, and they can go on with as many views as possible. Personally, I wanted to wait. I wanted to take in the story. I wanted to reflect on everything going on and give you my final thoughts on what I think about the Joker storyline, the Three Joker story. Now, for those that don't know, um, well, necessarily, if you read the story and you've been reading the news on it, you know for a fact that it's got mixed baggage. The story itself is one of those. I don't know how to put it. Consider it the Last Jedi of the Star Wars trilogy, the new trilogy. When it came out initially, it was like a 50-50. Half of us loved it, half of us hated it. There was no in between. There's no one saying, yeah, it was good. There was either, yo, this is the best movie ever, or this is the worst one out of all nine. Now, The Three Jokers has a very similar thing going on right now. People are calling it overhyped. They're calling it pointless, underwhelming, and then you have other people calling it fantastic, groundbreaking, classic, like an instant classic, and all this stuff going on right now. It's a very mixed series. Very short, 3 issues, very very beautifully drawn. The art is fantastic. I got to give it that much. Um, but besides talking about the art here, because that's obviously not the point of this video. My initial thoughts about this was it it is a great story. It really is. It's very interesting. But the only problem is this story takes something from the Joker that everybody loves, that majority love at least at this point, and that's his origin. Now I get it. The Joker movie, yes, amazing movie. I loved it. I still to this day think it's a fantastic movie. And yes, him having the origin didn't bother me there in the film. It really didn't. But the film is different from the comics. The comic is where the Joker's been since the 40s. He's iconic for not having an origin. The closest thing we ever had to an origin was the Killing Joke, and that's who one of the three Jokers is. The comedian then was the one from the Killing Joke, and if you don't know, well, I'm assuming you know now because it's been over a week. He's the last Joker. So basically, the closest thing we had to an origin this entire time was the Killing Joke. And on top of it, when Alan Moore wrote that story, he left it at a cliffhanger where Batman and the Joker share a laugh after all those years of, fighting and and Batman taking him down. And after that little talk of, we don't have to kill each other, we can help each other, and Joker declines that offer. Um, After Joker tells his cheesy joke, stupid joke, he begins laughing. They share a laugh, and then eventually the laugh goes dark, like the laugh goes quiet, and the rain stops in the comic, and it's over. Very similar in the film when it was released, which was another underwhelming animated film. They start laughing, and eventually you just hear Batman's laugh as the camera pans away, and Joker goes quiet. Now, if you look at various interviews, you will see, yes, there are some that do say that it's up to your interpretation, and to most people, Batman didn't kill him. He maybe just knocked him out or whatever, and that was it. But if you look deep into it, there are plenty of interviews where Alan Moore eventually came out and said, "No, in my opinion, and for my story, Batman right there snapped because he realized that one of them was going to kill each other one day, and he finally lost it and ended it right there." So in Alan Moore's story, he killed the Joker. Batman killed the Joker right then and there, and it ended. But now with the Three Jokers story, that's not the case because he was back. He was there from back then. He survived, was thrown into Arkham or whatever, and kept going, kept being the Joker with the other two that were with him that are now dead. And on top of it, his family's alive. Like, this retcons a few things here. It retcons Alan Moore's confirmation of that Batman killed him. That's why it was considered an Elseworld-esque story. It wasn't in the main continuity. And his Joker's family is alive, which made no sense considering that the entire time it's like, oh, you know who he is, huh? And he's like, oh, you wouldn't keep that from you, would you, Bruce? Like, no, I wouldn't. I would tell you guys when Barbara and Jason are having a little confrontation with discussing about the identity of Joker. And then you find out at the very end that Batman figured this out a week into hearing about the Joker, about the Joker's family. He found out that they are alive, and he had them. They went to Alaska, and like, what is this? It's like El Camino. They went to Alaska to live in solitude and stay and hide from their past, their criminal past. Well, at least the past of her husband, of Joker. And I know she went to for help because she was afraid that she was going to kill the baby and all that. But I mean, it just makes no. It's just one of those things. It was a head scratcher for me. Like, why would you do this? I mean, this didn't answer the story. That's the thing. The story didn't answer the various questions that it raised. It didn't It didn't answer the question of who is the real Joker. Which, you know what, that part I like, because like I said, it's the big part about the Joker is you don't know his origin. Now we know this Joker's origin, but we don't know the origin of who the first Joker is and when they were turned. That's the bit of Joker that still remains that I enjoy because it keeps the mystery. At this rate, I don't think we'll ever know which one was the original. You can always speculate that it was Killing Joke Joker or the Old Man Joker that the comedian was calling him, or the one that Jason shot in the head right away. We don't know. It's all up to speculation. You can go by age and by insanity and through the comics, whatever. We'll never know. It's all up to speculation, which that I enjoyed. I just don't like that now this Joker has a definitive origin, and on top of it, eventually, it feels like it's inevitable that the Joker is going to be receiving more character depth than ever, because it just feels inevitable now that his family is going to be mentioned again in the future. They're even going to probably appear in front of Joker, and it's going to be like, it could be one of two things. It could be used as a conflict of interest for him where he might, try to surrender the Joker persona, realizing his family's alive. Or he might just kill them right then and there because he's too far gone. Like I said, it's a weird story. I mean, I personally enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it for different reasons. I didn't enjoy it necessarily for the three Jokers' tale of who they are, what started them, and their mission. Because on top of it, the mission didn't even go. The comedian didn't even want to go with the other Joker's plan. He killed him, and he said it. Oh, yeah, that was the other Joker. He wanted to create an army of Jokers. I did not want that. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I know. My Joker impersonation was a little British there, and I apologize. Mark Hamill, you are the only Joker guy out there for me. I cannot get that voice. But back to the point. This whole point of the army of the Jokers thing didn't matter, because it was only one Joker's idea, and it didn't even come to fruition. Even like Joe Chill got brought into this old man who's dying, and they were gonna make him the new Joker. That way he could, as I said in the story, oh, this Joker will have an origin story that you'll fully know, and he'll be attached to you. He'll be what I could never be for you, like all this stuff, and it's just weird. But I like that you find out that Joe Chill spent years, like decades, in prison, writing these notes, trying to apologize, and it's actually kind of nice to hear, while right before the explosions happened and all the fighting began, it was nice to hear that Joe Chill had Joe Chill's reasons, like, oh, they had what I did. They had what I couldn't have, and I blame them for that. I thought it was because of them that I don't have that, and whatever, you know. In society, if the one thing the Joker movie taught people, I believe, is just that society is full of people who are troubled, and they see the society itself does not look out for they don't look no one looks out for one another in the world anymore, and we need to help others around us. That's part of the message of the film, and I think that's a message within the novel, within this graphic novel as well, within the story, that you know there are people out there who are less fortunate than others and are feeling, these kind of problems. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't justify Joe Chill killing the Waynes. I mean, it's just a comic book, but it's just in that scenario, it's just trying to tell you something. Like, he was young and he just felt less fortunate because of those that were more fortunate than he was. And so all this happened, and it was nice to see that Bruce Wayne forgave him. It was nice to see that. And Joe Chill went in peace, knowing, at least it's not directly seen because they don't have much dialogue with each other, but it is seen that Bruce Wayne has forgiven him. Now, obviously, that's not what's going to make him hang up the cape because he's been Batman for so long and all of this stuff going on. But that was something I did not expect to be a part of the story that I did personally enjoy. See, like I said, this story, it gave me a lot of things that I enjoyed, but it wasn't for the reasons it should have been. For example, to continue with what I did really enjoy, um, I personally really enjoyed the Jason Barbara dynamic. Don't get me wrong, it's not something that's been around for a while. I mean, you gotta feel bad for Barbara. All these different iterations of her, these writers, from the video games to the animated series to the films to all of it, Barbara Gordon she's been dating or married to all three different Robins, between Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake now. At first, it was a long time that and even Batman. I'm sorry, I also meant Batman. But it's been a long time that um, Nightwing and Barbara Gordon were together. I mean, even in Young Justice, season 3, when she was in one of her first appearances as Oracle, when she's in her wheelchair, you realize that they're together. They're a couple. In the Batman Arkham series, you find out in the third one that it's Tim Drake. I'm sorry, I lost myself here. Tim Drake is actually the love interest with Barbara in the Arkham series too. In Batman the Animated Series, if I remember correctly, Batman had a little relationship going on with Barbara there, and it happened also in the Killing Joke film, not the comic, but in the film. They have that weird sex scene on the rooftop. And now she's finally having a relationship with Jason Todd. And you know what? I'm going to make a separate video for that, of which Robin I think Barbara better suits herself with, whether it be Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, or Tim Drake. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't see a good fit with regarding Bruce Wayne, Batgirl and Batman. That I don't see. But I do see, out of all three of the previous Robins, I do see a certain person that does, in a sense, work best with her character via the comics and even the films too, the animated films and the animated series. Um, but yeah, But to go back, because I went off topic a little bit here, another thing that, again, the Jason Todd Barbara Gordon thing here was really something that I actually enjoyed. I know a lot of people say that it felt, shoehorned in and it was forced, but it makes sense for the story because these are two characters. These two were the most affected by the Joker in the Batman mythos. Jason Todd was beaten to death with a crowbar and blown up by the Joker, only to get brought back by, depending on whether you go pre-New 52 and Crisis, or New 52, whether it be the Lazarus Pit or the Final Crisis event. Regardless, Jason gets brought back, and he's damaged to this very comic. He's tortured by what the Joker did to him. That he shoots one Joker in the head in the very first issue. And Barbara Gordon also, she got crippled by the Joker in The Killing Joke, and she was stuck in a wheelchair for a long time as Oracle. And then, the DC went on, and eventually she became Batgirl again, as they gave her legs back through her, and the story, as she calls it, her physical therapy and her determination, her will, etc., etc. And it made sense for me because Jason would feel a connection to her through both of them being affected by the Joker in this way. And I do understand Barbara's stance of like, it was just a moment, it wasn't even a moment. It was nothing. Like you're seeing this more than what it was. But for the sake of the story, I feel like Barbara just doesn't want to mix business with pleasure at this rate in this story itself, because they both can relate to each other in that way, but it seems like Barbara's more worried about how damaged Jason is, that people, like, they say it in these stories all the time, I can't be your one link to hope, to happiness, whatever. And it seems like for a moment it seemed like that's what Barbara was becoming for Jason, because yes, he does have the outlaws that are like with him at as his group and his buddies, but someone that he could relate to better than anybody is hands down Barbara, as they both have the mental confrontation of the psyche with the Joker. And again, it's just, I know a lot of people feel it was shoehorned, but it is definitely something that I found enjoyable, that I understand why a lot of people wouldn't. But for me, it was. I personally did enjoy it, although my goodness, I hate um, that cheesy stuff where they leave a note and the note gets swept away so no one knows about it. Why, Jason? What makes you think I'm gonna tape the note on her door? Why not just slide it under the door? Like, what is this, man? What is this? Like, it's like a 60s rom-com or something, man. I got no idea. But that's all part of the writing for the story, and I get it, but just make it more realistic. Just make him put the note under, and if you really want to, have Barbara just throw it out and never have him mention it again, like he promised. But now, I can't help but feel like this is going to be another conflict to come within the story. Like how I said with Joker's family, I feel like now it's going to become a thing where, it's going to be a possible life and death situation, and Jason's going to mention the note, and Barbara's like, I never got your note. What are you talking about? And it's going to turn out that she did feel something for him, but she just didn't want to jump quick and act on it and, risk whatever, like risk developing feelings for a teammate and then possibly jeopardizing a mission with all the Bat family together, But whatever. That was just like a little nitpick that I think we can all agree was a little cliche and a little stupid with it. But was there anything else here that I'm trying to think of now? I mean, yeah, like I said, the story is very 50-50 with people. Some people say it's an instant classic. Some people say it's terrible. I do believe that it'll become an instant classic in the sense that it's something never done before and it was found out with the story, but it's very at the same time I do think that it'll be a classic, but I do think that because of how long it took to get this story going, it was extremely underwhelming. Because I too, when this first came out, I too was very excited. I couldn't believe that it kept getting delayed so much. When I finally found out it was being released, I was happy as a fat kid in the chocolate factory. I was so happy. I was Augustus Gloop in the chocolate factory. I couldn't believe it. But as I was reading it, it took me more away. Like, this isn't exactly what I was expecting, but I'm hoping for it to get better. And I mean, if I had to put it in ranking order of how I rank each issue, I would have to say that I might be tied for issues 1 and 3, and 2 is hands down the worst one out of all of them. But 1 and 3 both have different things about them that I would say, like, they have strengths and weaknesses. And if I had a gun to my head, I would probably say that I can't tell, because the resolution is not a big payoff of the story, and the intro was very well done, but the cliffhanger was more like, it's nothing about it was like, oh my god. That's the thing, like, it's hard for me to determine which one is the definitive number one out of all three parts of the story. So I'd have to say I'm tied between 1 and 3, as they both have pros and cons that both differentiate the stories. But number two is issue two is hands down my least favorite one. Um, so that's all I can think of right now regarding the story that I, was back and forth with, and I just can't. Those are my thoughts. I'm sure there's plenty more I could have talked about, but at this point, it just again I took my week to reflect, and I wanted to talk about some main points that how again I found like I got interested in a sense the wrong parts of the story, not necessarily wrong, but you know what I mean. The parts that I should not have been entertained by, things that shouldn't have interested me. But yeah. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Do you guys agree with my points? What was your favorite part about the story? What was your least favorite part? Was this story everything you hoped it would be? Was it over? What did it underwhelm you? Do you think this is an instant classic? And what do you guys think? I'm making this video soon. Who do you guys think is the right choice, quote unquote, for Barbara Gordon? Do you think it's Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, or Tim Drake? I want to hear what you guys think for those watching this video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to the end, I love you, I appreciate you, and I will catch you all in the next video.